Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming you all to International Affairs. This is being broadcasted from the SATV's Gulshan studio. My name is, of course, Shamsul Alam Panto. As I bring you the top updated news from around the globe, today would be the 39th day of this aggression we see towards Iran. And of course, there are updates regarding Donald Trump and what kind of deadlines he has set as this war is proceeding. Before I begin the discussion today, let me introduce all my panel. Here in the studio, I have Major Dr. Khosrow Samad, who has joined us even on previous shows. He is a well-known specialist in pharmacology as well as an avid columnist. I welcome you onto this program once more. Alongside, we will have Norman Floyd Barnes, our geopolitical correspondent from District of Columbia, Washington, as he is joining us almost on a daily basis. I want to begin with Dr. Khosrow Samad in the studio. Some of the updates as it comes to the international medias as well. Donald Trump has made sure to come to the media to a White House press meeting in which he said that Iran has only up until Tuesday night to agree to some of these terms. Unless if they do not do so, the bridges and energy infrastructure will come under attack. This is at the edge of the 39th day. How are you? What is your assessment regarding such comments coming from the leader of the 50 states of United States of America?
Thank you very much. Your question is very crucial and very sensitive and time demanding. Number one, whether it is a real threat or not, that is in the questions, because the voice that Trump uttered, the same voice he uttered at least 4 or 5 times. They give the deadlines. And each and every deadlines, when the press covers him, he repeats, yes, give the couple of the days more, I will give the another scenario. And the same tune is happened even in the last declaration. And it was told by all the press conference, the language is not professional, aggressive, even vulgar. Being the president, the weightage, the core content of the language does not commensurate of his language. And it was said by all the learned people, enlightened people of the whole world. So the war is not only the war of the bullet, this is a war of the righteousness, ethical part as well. So the language is similar like the language of the Hitler, somebody has said like this. However, the thing is that he said. So as you know, as you said, the GMT of the tonight, with a couple of the hours more, according to his statement, right, the joint collaborations of the American and the Israel will started, as you said. Well, what is their point? They said the Strait of the Hormuz, at least they should be open and free, at least for them. And we have heard a lot, we have said a lot about the Hormuz state sitting in this chair, and the crisis of the fuel and others. Now, if his statement is true, what will be the reality? Number one, he said they will be bombing upon the nuclear
facilities,
structures and the facilities, if really it happens. As we saw in the 1947, in the Second World War, in the Japan, the 2 bombs, fat bombs, and by the Americans, still baby is born with the deformed limbs due to the radiations.
Correct.
You might be remember the effect of the Chernobyl in the India by the Russian destruction.
Right.
If it is really happened, so that is really unpredicted what will be happen, and just after the effect and the effect after the years together. So it may transmit to the other Arab countries. And the sentiment that they cannot use either biological warfare, nor nuclear warfare, or NBC, nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare. This is absolutely prohibited by the Geneva warfare. Right. And it is duly signed by the USA as well. And Israel, they have to sign in the passive way. However, if they do, that will go the boomerang. Okay, let me go back. What is happening in the real, inside the army of the USA?
Please.
USA, there is a frustration among the lot of the troops, including the officers. Some of them committed suicide, it was hidden, or they're trying to suicide. There are a lot of the histories among, and the frustration, they don't want to join in the army. What is the logic? That the professional army, to fight or that took the arms, it is their profession. So they cannot say no. But they said, yes, we are the army, this is my job, but we are not the killer. What is our logic to kill the child of the Iran? And if I bomb about the nuclear, there are a lot of the civilians, thousands of the civilians, millions of the civilians may die. So this is not the interest of the America. This is the interest of the Israel, hardly. So you cannot justify our bombing, our justify killing. It becomes a killing. Number two, we can remember the three emperor. One is the Spanish emperor of the couple of the years back. Rather years together, they become the very flourished, and their army going to the Mexico and other Northern Americans. Ultimately, they finish only they cannot provide the salary to the soldiers. If you go back to the Soviet Union, they invaded the Czechoslovakia, German, and other co-locating countries. Ultimately, same thing happened to them. They cannot pay the salary, and the army becomes so big, and the budget for the army, it is beyond their control.
Correct.
And now Trump cannot control. It is pressurized by the generals, by the military peoples, and others, because they have their two budgets. One budget goes to the Ukraine as well. Now, even yesterday, there is a bombing of the Russians part to the Ukraine. So still the fighting is going on. Zelensky is still keep on the pressuring.
Correct.
So my question is that, and the third one is that the UK, it was said, the 18 countries was under his control. But UK's Union Jack is no more in the world. And last one is, as I said, the Soviet Union. So my question is that, as I said, from the tactical point of view, from the strategical point of view, it may be good on, but the logistic point of the view, there are the heavy scarcity of the US sites, and as I said, the motivation, and as you see, the children, the people who is going, their child, their wives, they are not, they are not friendly or not accepted the scenario to go to that. So my question that still they might, change their mind to attack by the tonight. This is my personal opinion, but this is not the place to give the personal opinion. There are the circumstantial evidences, because their preparation is still not the clear from the which side, it is maybe hidden by the military strategy, but there are the, as I said, there must some element or event which is conspicuous, but we are yet to get the nature of the attack. You might see that today there is a severe attack by the Iran to the Israel, Haifa cities, and as well as the Houthi, the Yemen's.
They have joined.
They have joined. They have
joined as well.
Then they have joined earlier, but this new attack they have joined thoroughly. So let us see what will be really happening.
No, very important points raised by you, Dr. Khosrow Samad. I picked out some of these important issues. You talked about the health concerns when a nuclear fallout happens, and not only so, you mentioned the Geneva Accords, in which some chemicals were banned in the uses of warfare, which in some of the news earlier on that suggested white phosphorus being used on the side of Israel to attack southern Lebanon. So these violations will come up in time. We are yet to see, as you said, that the wartime reporting is a type of reporting that will only occur and only come to the big screens after it has happened. So all of these important issues that you've raised, it is important that we discuss it further. And with that being said, I want to connect with Norman Floyd Barnes, our geopolitical correspondent from Washington, District of Columbia. I want to greet you by saying a very good morning. How are you seeing this? The temperatures are suddenly starting to rise. Iran is defiant as Trump vows entire country could be taken out if no deal is reached by the end of Tuesday night. This is a population of 93 million people. And what does the words take out could mean? I want to know more from Norman Floyd Barnes.
Good morning and greeting from Washington, D.C. It's 4 a.m. here in Washington, D.C. Eastern Standard Time. And if the President Trump has indicated that in 16 hours, that will be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the military forces of the United States will demolish the entire infrastructure, including bridges and other matters, energy, power plants, water, everything would be demolished at that time. The Iranian government response to his request for a ceasefire has been rejected. So we are now preparing to see what next step happens within the time frame mentioned.
It's important it's important to understand the depth of these kind of words that are being covered by the world media outlets, BBC as well as CNN. There was some of these build-ups that we were seeing over the last weekend. One of those important issues was how Pete Hegseth, very known name in America's country, who's the defense secretary, has ousted the chief of army staff, General Randy George, along with two other generals in the midst of this war. There seems to be that is some kind of a fracture in leadership. Of course, as you were raising the issue that their mission was to target innocent civilians, and because of so, we see a pattern between the IDF as well as the United States military. I want to ask Dr. Khosrow Sabad, this is important in warfare, 39 days as it's going on, and the war began with one assassination. That was, of course, of the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, may he be in heaven. So I want to ask you, what is the outcomes of such an action, especially in the backdrop of the Defense Secretary removing such powerful positions? Would it create very confused conditions amongst those who are under their leadership?
Okay, thank you. Your question is very clear. Go back to our country's history. In the 1971, when there is the East Pakistan, the West Pakistan thinks, from their point of view, it is for the issues of the couple of the days to stop the upsurge of the eastern part. In the 25th March, Black Night, what happened we know. They thought it will take only 2 months or 3 months. They could not even predict. They means the generals, military thinkers, military politicians, geopoliticians, infrastructure specialists, doctors, engineers, all together. They could not think. Ultimately, what happened? They failed and they go back. Why this so? There are the multi-sectorial phenomenon. One is, as the army said, that chain of the command, it violated in the Pakistan army many times. Why the violations? As I said just in a moment, there is an absolute chain of the command. But there is a terminology, that is the command is unlawful. So there is two types of the command, lawful and unlawful. The general's personal desire is immaterial. It should be rationalized from the ethical spirit. I told it repeatedly. So they killed. Their spirit, I am killing. But for the American parts, the generals, they have the separate entity, separate views, and very, very learned. Most of the generals of the Americans, they are very learned. Learned means institutional learned as well, not from the military learning as well. They have a lot of the postdocs, the PhDs. So they do not explain the things mechanically. That I am asked, this is my task, I have to do blindly. It didn't happen. So they have evaluated. So what happened in the army, it is really hard job to come in the outside. But one example I can give, that is, you can remember, yes, in the Vietnamese War, when it was forced for the youth to join for the military practice.
Drafting.
Right. And then the Sir Muhammad Ali Clay, the boxer, he was a very emerging character in that time. He personally refused, and ultimately he sent to the jail. He accepted the jail. So there is a very clear mission. Now your question is that the very simple question, it is an order, I repeat, so you have to carry out. But why there is a changing even the highest level in the generals? It does mean that desire of the Pentagon is not being followed by the military personnel. So from their point of view, they can change the military structures. So there are a lot of the changes and many things which has happened behind the screen we are yet to know. But things are very clear. There the confusion, their emotion, sentiment that does not go parallelly to the sentiment and the spirit of the Pentagon, specifically to the Trump.
Of course, a very important box you've opened up here, Doctor. Not only so, the needs do not meet eye to eye. Of course, in certain regions, and when you have a disagreement, that is when such a action may prevail. And I must thank you. Very important examples you've bringing up. West Pakistan from our history here in Bangladesh, and today Pakistan is also playing a very significant role. I want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes. Iran's old negotiators were, of course, Qatar, if not Turkey, but both these nations have been come under heavy fire from the Iranians, and today Pakistan seems to find itself in trying to be the peace broker of this war. How much success that will hold for Pakistan is a matter of question. I want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes, a nation that has issues with its own neighborhoods, the Afghanistan as well as India, but is trying to understand the U.S. Issue, the U.S. Cause that they might find in Iran. And of course, Iran will not agree to a ceasefire as per the media reports, and they are saying that we want a permanent cessation of hostilities, and of course that does indicate some kind of permanent deal in place, but the time is running out. I want to understand from you, at what point would this become apocalyptic from a hot mess like you've described, Norman?
Thank you for the question. I do not know if we'll get to that level. The military plan outside of congressional approval is one of a tactical sense, meaning they will come in and strike and then they will leave. The use of weapons of mass destruction, I cannot comment on that, if that even is included in the mission. But I can tell you that the mission has started. The process has started. Resources, large quantity of resources has been moved close to that region. And within, let's say, 14 hours, 16 hours, we will have a result of this military action. Right now, everything is quiet, which means action is moving. Things are happening right now. Hopefully, a miracle happen, that someone has the presence of mind to put a pause and continue a conversation that will avoid this destruction of human life and resources. So right now, all we can do, sit here, commentate, and observe, and hopefully something will happen within the next 16 hours that will prevent this.
Right. That is important to understand, and how we will reap the outlasting effects of this long-running war. It has already crossed the 39th day, and tomorrow we'll be stepping into the 40th day. It has real-life economical as well as humanistic impacts. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a short commercial break. Afterwards, we will discuss other world global updates. Do stay with us. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Panto.
I don't see an easy resolution to this, because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them,
testing nuclear missiles,
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing,
special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen,
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks,
preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement.
They will face better projects.
with Presidency of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday. Welcome back on International Affairs. Today I'm joined with Major Dr. Khosrow Samad in the studio, as well as Norman Floyd Burns from District of Columbia, Washington. I want to add on the response from the Iranian counterpart. Of course, he is Ibrahim Zolfagari, the spokesperson for the IRGC's Khatam al-Anabiya Central Headquarters, who has said that if attacks on non-civilian targets are repeated, our retaliatory response will be carried out far more forcefully and on a much wider scale. It does not sound like they are scared of such threats. On the other hand, on Tuesday morning, the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, warned Iranians not to use trains and to stay away from rail lines for 12 hours. Going near these locations endangers your life, it warned. That is a preemptive to any kind of attack. It is a methodological attack on the infrastructure, if not on the civilian casualties. I want to know what these comments actually mean from you, sir. Not only so, there is an issue of Asian allies of the US in Asia have been left to scramble for deals to save their economy. Most of it is based on oil from the Strait of Hormuz. One of these nations, as an example, is South Korea. Almost 70% of its manufacturing is based on the dependency on crude oil. And it's important to know how Asia as a whole will be affected. According to various media outlets, it says that Asia will be the most affected. Some of our nation, as well as Pakistan and surrounding economies, will be affected if this long war is prolonged. How do you see it?
Well, thank you very much. Let me share my personal experience. I am residing in the cantonment, and within the cantonment near the CSD there is a petrol pump.
Correct.
And it is usually taken by the defense officers, usually. And usually there is no trafficking because it is for the usually designated for the specific peoples. But yesterday when I came to take the fuel, there is a heavy queue and there is no queues for the specific personnel. So all that together. Okay, no problem. Take me the pride as a citizen and the democratic personnels. I was in the queue, and behind me I saw there are the other people from the military and the paramilitary, even from the my other personnel, civil personnel relations. I stayed for the couple of the hours to take the token. Then I was in the queue. I take the token again in the second line for the queue. There is no separated line. And again for the 2 hours to reach to the petrol pump. So I took, residing inside the territory, 4 hours. So I understand what is happening total Bangladesh. Now, as you specifically said, for the India, there the more than 40% fuel is taken from the Hormuz. In the flat rate, it is said that 20% of the total world's fuel is exports
from
through
that strait.
So if it is blocked, so world will not get that 20% of the fuel. It is a flat rate. But in some specific countries, as you said, from the South Korea, from the India, as the India having the tremendous political influences, especially the economical influences, even in the European countries, a lot of the Indians are theirs. And the many machineries and the factories are being run by the Indian personnel. But ultimately, India reduced the tax as the people can take the fuel in the reasonable price. If it prolongs, what will happen? There is a vicious cycles. Ultimately, in Bangladesh, we cannot provide the full tank reserve. Say it can be taken by the $4,000, correction, 4,000 taka, but it is given for the 1,000 taka, occasionally less than that. Same thing happened in the India and other countries. So ultimately what is happening, the fuel is being consumed to be in the queue. It is already been exhausted.
And to lose your time is to lose the most valuable asset one can have.
And that is the most valuable asset. And the supply chain, say from the Dhaka, we don't produce any food, any vegetables, any groceries and others. All are being carried from the
other
remote
64
places.
districts, yes.
Remote places. So if it increases the fuel, so ultimately the price will be increased. That is very layman explanation. So
that is the market dynamics, just to prove that if one effect is on one position, it will have another creation on another.
Exactly. So one thing, if it is started, and what is inflation is going on, and it is throughout the world, and stress, insecurity, which is not being seen. So as a doctor, I know the insecurity prevailing within the mass community, it creates unscenic disorders like the hypertension, diabetic, pre-cancerous stage, even the heart attacks, because the stock markets, there are a lot of the investments, even the poor people and the people who having the only the least earning, it is also been given. And the stock market, there is yesterday, the 100 parameters was decreased. So who having the invest, say for the 1 lakh, he saw due to the war, it is reduced by the 80,000. So 20,000 has already been gone. It is only started of the war. If it is truly happened tonight, there is a heavy bombardment, what will be happen in the remaining days, we are yet to know. So we can see that in the different parameters, in the different aspects or different structures of the country. So it is ultimately, it questions there is what will be really happened. And if you go for the one back history, there was a proposal of the ceasefire of the different countries. Okay, let us see what are the wings. One wings allied by the Asim Munir was the field marshal of the Pakistan, he along with the Turkish and other Muslim countries. But incidentally, it was very much accepted by the Trump. Trump said, yes, Asim Munir, you are my field marshal. He told me that way.
He had various meetings with the Donald Trump in his recent movements
exactly,
as
the
well.
vice president and the military dignitaries and the other personals. Well, they give some plans, but in the other parts, that China also said that we are supporting the Russia to negotiate. Because if the questions of the negotiation, third party is required. If there is a misunderstanding between you and me, I cannot come and tell there is a misunderstanding. There must be third party. He came, and who is closer to you, he must be closer to me as well as.
Who must water down both parties.
Exactly.
And that
he
is
must
a
be
very
accepted to that both parties.
holy cause, as I would say, to stop the war.
So in that case, as I said, Turkey or the Pakistan is accepted by by Iran. But the double standard of the Pakistan is that they are firing upon the Afghanistan, you see. So being Muslim, they are attacking the other Muslims country, and their logic is still not very clear. What is the real hostility? Because this Afghan and the Taliban is patroned by the Pakistans once, and they made by them. And again, same thing happened in the Russia. They are fighting against the Ukraine. And Ukraine is part of the USSR. And what is the cause? It is their right to go to the NATO or not to the NATO. It is a separate country. You cannot tell that you should come to me. You can request, but you cannot military impose.
You can't dictate, yes.
You can dictate. So all the countries playing multiple roles. Russia now becomes very friend to the Iran, apparently to the Muslim countries. But they still keep on fighting against the Ukraine, number one. Pakistan, as I said, double standard. So the professional approach to both of the acceptable countries is unquestionable, because the Iran's logic is very strong. Today you may put the ceasefire, okay, partly negotiation happened, you flew back, but after 1 or 2 years you may come again and do the same thing, who knows.
And that is very important, because last summer we've seen a 12-day war, and then a recap of that is now happening almost 40 days.
Exactly. So from the Iran side, it is not unjustified to say to have the permanent solution not for the Iran as well as for the Gaza. Because we can remember since our intelligence level, when a schoolboy still heard the name of the Palestine, they are fighting against the Jewish attacking. Still it is going on. So there is no permanent solution. And as you said, for the fuel point of view, if you can remember 70s decade, there happened the two phenomenon in the UK and in the USA. In the UK, the fuel price was so high that the government was fall down, it was said.
There was an energy crisis during that decade.
Exactly. And same thing happened in the 1974, 1975, 1972. So this is the power of the fuel. So naturally it becomes a headache for the other countries as well. I don't say the headache. This is their commitment, this is their rationality, this is their duties to solve the issue amicably, as both parts is at least having their minimum sanctity and their standard. Because the egoistic part is one of them. The language of the era, they might also be more democratic. I am not blaming. But the thing is that while compromising, everyone have to negotiate, have to be more flexible. But that is obvious. That is obvious. Yes, you bombard fast, you kill their Ayatollah. So there it is their commitment to take the revenge. But even then, above all, peace comes first.
Of course, and peace does come first, and it should be given the utmost priority. That was very important statements coming from you, Doctor. I picked out some of these issues that I want to talk with Norman Floyd Burns, all the way in District of Columbia. We see Pakistan's position as a negotiator, and of course Dr. Khosrow Samad was talking about the almost the two sides of the matter, the double standard. Not only so, there is reports that a handful of Japanese linked ships have passed through the Strait of Hormuz in recent days. Of course the work is underway to arrange talk with Japan and Iran's president. Not only so, South Korea, another nation of Asia, is ensuring the safe passage of almost 26 South Korean flagged vessels currently stranded in the Strait of Hormuz. Seoul has deployed a special envoy to Kazakhstan, Oman and Saudi Arabia to secure alternative crude oil supplies amid this disruption. So what is the allied agreement between US and these Asian nations? We understand the Asian giant China is being very measured on its approach toward this global affair. I want to know more from Norman what you see of other nations, powerful nations, who are now trying to look for oil anywhere in the globe. How do you see it?
Yes, thank you. The situation, particularly in the Strait, is that, as I mentioned before, countries are now looking for alternative solutions to handle their interests. They are not depending on the United States to solve this issue. Each country has to make a concerted decision on how they want to address this thing for the purpose of their country, not a coalition, but how their country. So there will be conversations, there will be deals. The Strait of Hormuz right now, 5 to 6 vessels are going through there today, daily right now. And these countries have made a agreement with Iran for free flowing of their resources. So I will comment that each country will make a planned decision on how to survive, how to deal with this situation in the Middle East, and what position they're going to stand. So the past thing of we are a group, we are going to stand fast, we're going to deal this thing as one group collectively has dissipated. The future now is that each country will have to make a concerted decision on how they want to deal with this conflict and deal with the future. So that is where we're at right now. You're going to see, the president of the United States has mentioned that he's dissatisfied with certain countries, including Japan, South Korea,
Right.
The European countries. He's not happy with their position, but their position is basically on their country's needs.
The
So
energy
they are going
dependency.
to take the situation. Energy has to come through. They have to have food. We have to have water, shelter. These things are going to take precedent over the relationship they have with a country or a region or a coalition. So right now, deals are being made. As we mentioned before, the United States was the president known as the deal maker. Well, other countries have basically learned from him, lessons learned, and they are making deals. And the deals will decide on what they do in the future and how they move forward. Some of the deals will involve the United States and the Western countries, and other deals are going to deal with what's in our best interest. And that is what we're going to see, an evolution of new relationships globally, and this will determine how things will move forward and to what level. The countries that decide to stay with the United States and the Western coalition will have to deal with these issues and make a decision. Do we stay with the group or do we take care of our country's needs first? So this is what I suspect is going to happen. Each country is going to break away from the group, the gang, and basically form their own relationship, and we'll move forward like that.
Of course, and as I take from your statement, Norman, you mentioned about needs, and that does open up the discussion regarding a model that we've studied even in our academia, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the need for shelter, the need for acceptance
Basic
into
needs.
society.
Yes, basic needs. This is the thing that, regardless of what a country, the United States or whoever thinks, the basic needs has to come out. And as we see, based on the relationships and these incidents that happened in the last couple of months, the basic needs is the only thing right now that matters. The rest of the stuff is supplemental, is dressing, is a dessert, is a something that if we can get that, that's fine, but it's not essential. Essential is the basic needs: food, water, shelter, energy. And that is what we're going to see.
And yes, that is a very important food, water, shelter, energy. These needs are very important to human life and human growth. And that is the concern for common Iranians, as I believe, who have been under attack for the last 40 days. I want to ask Dr. Samad just a question very smallly, very briefly. The Minister for Youth and Sports in Iran, Ali Reza Rahimi, told the young people to form human chains around flower plants. So they're going to be in the breadth of this attack if that happens. How do you see this happening? Very briefly before I can go to a break.
Well, this is they express their spirit that we are ready to make a human chain to protect our heart, that is nuclear weapons.
It is now the world stage. Any attack on that kind of facility will reveal the emotions, the hatred that is coming from across the Atlantic.
Exactly so.
So that is very important as we discuss on international affairs. All of these issues are for all of our viewers to understand the growing perspectives from around the world. It is time for another short commercial break, but do stay with us on this program. p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Panto.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
Opening an open war conflict with them.
Testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV's screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China, to come to agreement.
They will face better projects.
with President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the last segment of International Affairs. We were in discussion from Washington, D.C. with Norman Floyd Barnes. I thank him for his audience and contribution onto the program today. Very important issues raised from Norman about needs that the human will need to survive and to grow. And with this kind of statement coming to the studio today is an important day. It's recognized as World Health Day. And you are a doctor, sir. I want to ask you about a recent scare that Bangladesh is suffering through. It's called the measles scare. And many children are being affected, those with compromised immune systems who have not grown yet or who have not been exposed to this disease. And suddenly, this onset slaughter of this preventable disease. Prevention is, of course, better than cure. These are some of the statements when you think about the human physiology. So I want to ask you, sir, what is your comment regarding measles outbreak as well as the government-funded EPI program from so many decades prior? How do you see about this?
Thank you very much. What stands for the EPI? Expanded Program on Immunization. So the expanded program. What includes, there are the 6 communicable diseases. For the time constant, I am not focusing on the other 5.
Sure.
So one is measles. Due to the vaccinations, it is controlled. Among, there is a 98% of the total population is previously vaccinated. And it creates the herd immunity. Herd is H-E-R-D, not
Right.
H-A-R-D. Herd immunity concept is that if a population of the 80% is being populated, the total population is being vaccinated. So previous data says the whole nation is under the vaccination. We are very happy, and Bangladesh is about to declare the measles-free country by this 26th. But we suddenly observed, suddenly noticed there are the huge numbers of the measles, as you said. But it is not only the Bangladesh problems, it is a global problem as well. We usually evaluate the USA or UK, the other European countries, they have reached the peak of the medical sciences, but also the outbursts in that countries. There are many fallacies that. One fallacy which is not focused that much, that is there are the changes of the viruses against their enemies, that means humans, the vaccines. They are understanding, they are different. For protecting themselves, they are changing frequently, it's called mutation. So they change from the one mutated from the another mutation, it's called the variety.
Variety, right.
In the previous day, we saw the COVID having the variety, Delta variety, Omicron variety, because human has...
There is a new variant as well, the cicada variant appearing in some places on the earth.
It is called the genome sequence, as you said, which will detect whether really the changes of the variety is happening or no. In the couple of the days, we have seen that some new viruses, like the Zika, we are sitting over here, we told the chikungunya and the dengue. We did not see it, we did not hear it before. And this is the vector-borne, as you said. There are some genetic disorders from the animals comes to the man.
Crossover, it happens to the animals, right?
Right. In the previous day, we heard about the AIDS, HIV, human immunovirus, but it was not prevailing in the world. We did not notice for before the 50 years. We had the SARS, MARS, Ebola virus. I can say a lot of the things. So, we are yet to know the viruses because till now we cannot destroy the virus by the very effective antiviral drugs. We are yet to get, like the bacteria, the another microorganisms, we can kill it very nicely by the antibiotic. So one urinary tract infection happened by the bacteria, it can be killed, but due to the virus, we are, as I said, no effective antiviral drugs. So as measles is one of the viral disorders, so we cannot kill the measles itself, the microorganism. So what is the way of the treatment? Only the supportive. Like it's a fever, we give the paracetamol like disorder, which everybody knows that it subsides the temperature. There is a itching type of the sensation and the rash, you give the antihistamine type. It's OTC, over-the-counter drugs, everybody knows you cannot give. But the core content of the attack, that is the virus, that is the measles virus, it is yet to, as I said, controllable. So it may create some
it's highly contagious as
highly
well.
contagious. From the contagious point of view, it is said that one patient may contagious 18 patients. Say the slummers, I have all the blessings to them, but this is very condensed people. So one child is enough to contagious the others. What happened in the villages? There are the one boys, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years, they're the brothers staying in the same room. So one is affected, but as we don't have the enough study or no preconceived idea that it might be a case of the measles, so it may be taken in the other non-specific disorder, and it did not take into cognizance that was the measles. So measles spread it, and we have understood that it was given in the very last stage. As you said specifically, what are the real reasons? One is it might be it's a fallacy, it's a hypothesis proposal, we are yet to prove. Another is our negligence, and there is no zero tolerance, because if I say the vaccine is suffice, one vaccine is suffice to protect it, 1 or 2 vaccines, one is in the 9th month, one is the 15th month. What is the reason? Why don't give the before the 9 months? Because the immunity that children get from the mother's milk, 9 months is suffice. So if we give the first and the booster dose in the second, it is suffice for the whole life. But the previous data is said there is a card, there is a specific date of the given of the vaccine, the 6th vaccine. It is said, it was seen, there is no mark on the measles vaccine. That means the illiterate mother, the underprivileged mothers, underprivileged, they did not mark. But it was not given by somehow, that was a mistaken, that is obvious. And the underprivileged, though having the poor nutrition, as I say, slummers, and though having the vitamin A deficiency, they are the highly vulnerable to develop the disease. And as you know, there is specific campaign, like vitamin A campaign, other some campaigns. But last couple of the days, couple of the years, specifically the last years, there is no organized campaign against the vitamin A. So there is the poor of the nutrition status as you focused.
Social awareness.
Social awareness. So it was not noticed. Some policymakers is blaming that it was not given the previous government, and previous government is who is the right persons. They are blaming each other. You may blame, no problem. But thing is that we cannot accept in no way for the one vaccine, for the couple of the dollars, we are ready to spare the human lives. It is not at all acceptable. So what is their summary? Summary, yes, we cannot surrender against the viruses. So we need a joint collaborations for the expedite of the new technology for the genome sequences and to prevent the newer viruses. As I said, there are a couple of the new viruses. So protect the new viruses, emergence of the new viruses, spread of the new viruses, and formulate some new drugs, new medicine against the viruses. So Bangladesh is very much advanced in the medical science. In which regards, we export the medicines in the more or less 80 countries. And we are the discoverer of the ore saline, which protect the many lives in the Africa. So I think Bangladesh is very potential to expedite in the various medical methodology, and I might be happy to know that we are going to formulate the dengue vaccines in this country, and previously the structures of the formulate of the vaccines, because vaccine is a regular phenomena. One disease come, one disease another. So if we formulate a manufacturer of the vaccine, so we cannot produce it, we cannot export it, we cannot demand in our country. So it was said we are trying, but we cannot given from the other country. So we need not to blame the other country. We become the self-sufficient. We can give the other vaccines to our country. We can protect ourselves and we can protect our nations from many of the diseases.
Of course, that is very important statements coming from you, sir, regarding Bangladesh's position on the global medical market, as well as raising awareness in societal events regarding prevention and how it is better than a cure. Of course, course, bringing this topic regarding measles does have a historical impact. As today is celebrated around the world, it signifies World Health Day. Is a global health awareness day celebrated every year on this very day, April 7th, under the sponsorship of the World Health Organization. There is also a fact I want to bring up. It's almost 100 years old. During the First World War, we have seen how the Spanish flu caused a havoc. So, of course, war and all of this ceasefire does have some kind of medical impacts towards humanistic life. With that being said, I want to thank Major Dr. Khosrow Samad for being in the studio, for your valuable time and contributions. Thanking Norman Floyd Barnes from District of Columbia. Ladies and gentlemen, this was International Affairs. I shall see you all on tomorrow's episode.